the news, guys, the injuries, a lot of stuff today. Some quarterback concussions, unfortunately, Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson. And the way it is now, you should just plan on a concussed player missing a game. Hopefully not more than that. Maybe he's shocked that he doesn't miss a game, but especially Wilson. Wilson looked really bad.
Wilson's was really, really bad. Pickett is one of the quarterbacks that came back the following week after being out with a concussion in a game. But this is his second run-in with a concussion this year, so I don't know if we're going to get him back next week against Carolina. Okay. Not that I don't know if that really changes anything or hurts anything for the pass catchers in Pittsburgh. Trubisky had some bad throws, but he still was able to get the ball to Deontay, Freiermuth, and at least targets to George Pickens.
Tyler Huntley also left in the third quarter, but Jim Harbaugh is optimistic that Huntley can play next week. We had a report over the weekend that Lamar Jackson not likely to play in week 15 in that game at Cleveland. Mike White left, then he came back. Joe Flacco replaced him and fumbled immediately. But White came back, and then he left. He went to the hospital after the game. They were calling it precautionary. They've already said he'll start next week. I don't know if that was assuming health or what, but probably going to have White. And you know what? He really didn't play poorly. He played pretty well, I think. And he gets the Lions in week 15. Dameon Pierce left with an ankle injury in the fourth quarter, guys. Was late in the game. Would you be interested in a Texans running back, and would it be Burkhead, Dave?
I think it would be Burkhead with Ogunbowale and Benjamin working with him. I would not be that interested. I would drop Tony Jones for one of those guys.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Tony Jones. You're not going to help anybody.
What about Travis Homer?
Well, I'd want to carry Homer until I know that one of DJ Dallas or Ken Walker would be back for Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take a running back that's going to play 90% of the snaps, and that's what Homer did. Not that it helped anybody, but at least that was his workload this week.
Okay, so we'll hope that Dameon Pierce can get healthy. We did have kind of an 8-game sample last year of Rex Burkhead as kind of a starter, and he scored, I'll round up and down, 4, 8, 6, 11, 6, 29, and 14 and 10 PPR fantasy points. He had one huge game, and it was against the Chargers, who were dreadful against the run last year.
I would hope. We're, in theory, eliminating half of fantasy managers this week.
Yeah.
So only the 6 best teams in every league, except for the leagues where the team with the top points doesn't get rewarded, are left. I'm hoping guys like Rex Burkhead are not going to matter.
Yeah, I hope so too. Saquon Barkley did not play his normal snap share. They basically took him out of the game in the fourth quarter, maybe even earlier.
Yes, it was earlier.
Yeah.
He played 39% of the snaps with Daniel Jones.
That game was over 39% of the way through the game.
It really was. 5 of 7 snaps inside the 10 for Saquon. So he had some high-value touches there, but not the usual Saquon Barkley. This was truly a case where he was limited. The game plan was for him to be limited, I should say. And then he got hurt a little bit at the end of the game, not to the point where I think he's going to miss time.
He says he's going to be next week. He says
but somebody landed on his shoulder. I don't feel awesome. I originally put him on the loser list for this week, but I took him off.
Yeah, it's another game where he just didn't really pop. Looked okay, but really there's just no big plays. All right, Tony Pollard scored a rushing touchdown. It came with Zeke lined up in the backfield, and Pollard was split out wide, and then he came in motion, got the handoff, and scored. Denver running back Mike Boone was carted off the field. Derrick Henry had 96 yards in the first quarter, 119 yards at halftime, 2 yards in the second half. Of course, they were trailing. Dalvin Cook averaged 1.5 yards per carry. That is the lowest of his career for any game with 10 or more carries. But wide receiver news, bigger stuff than what we just talked about with Henry and Cook. How about Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins both left early in the game? Tyler Boyd left almost immediately. Higgins was hurt in warmups, gave it a go, left in the second quarter.
No, it's even worse than that. Hurt in warmups. I believe he played 1 snap in the first quarter, and that was it.
Oh, ruled out in the second quarter then, I guess.
And ruled out in the second quarter. I'm going to confirm for everybody right now that he played exactly 1 snap in the game. But it was just a total bummer for everybody that trusted him in fantasy lineups. And there really wasn't any indication before the game that there was a problem. So
And you
it's
went through
just
the
a
quarterback
nightmare.
portion already, right?
I did.
Did you mention Brock Purdy?
No, he got hurt. Oh, oblique
He,
injury.
Kyle
Look at him.
Shanahan said he had an oblique injury. That is not the reason that he came out in the fourth quarter. But he would not rule out the possibility the oblique situation could impact Purdy for the Thursday night game against Seattle.
Oh, great. Oh, my. All right. Well, that sucks. Deebo Samuel, though, is not going to play on Thursday night. Almost certainly he has a high ankle sprain, it looks like. It could have been worse. But
It looked like a season ender and one
Yeah.
that would cost in the beginning of next season, too. Higgins, 1 snap, a 3rd and 7, very early on the first possession, probably the first third down play that Cincinnati had. Zach Taylor said after the game that he snuck on the field.
oh, wow. All right, Heath, how do you feel about Ayuk and Kittle? Because they didn't do anything in this game, really. They didn't have to. But
I was going to say, for the first quarter, I think Deebo and Kittle were the only players who had targets. That was basically the only guys he was throwing to, I think, until Deebo got hurt. I would imagine that Kittle's going to come out about tight end 18 next week in the projections, and I'm just going to push him up to 10th because his name is George Kittle. And Ayuk is a low-end number 2 wide receiver, high-end number 3, somewhere in that range.
all right,
They've got Seattle on a short week.
Richie James got hit in the head on his touchdown catch in the fourth quarter. I didn't see anything on him. Corey Davis left in the first quarter with an injury that opened the door maybe a little bit for Elijah Moore, who had a nice game. And Daniel Bellinger left with injured ribs. And there was a host of defensive injuries and some offensive line injuries. Look at the Vikings. They were already without 2 starters on the line. They lost another starter. So that's 3 that they're down right now. I'm assuming Darrisaw will be able to play next week, but that's affecting them a little bit here. So we'll keep an eye on that. And there's a lot more that I will skip for now.